Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
The location is also being done. What you have selected as a location is the same location that you have for both purchase orders and item receipts. It is done for the same location only. There are different roles. One role is your purchase clerk. Who puts in the purchase order. Then there is a purchase manager who might approve this purchase order. Once that is done, there is a warehouse. When you put in a purchase order, it can be done by purchase clerk. Once it is approved by the manager, then there is a warehouse manager who does the item receipt. Physically, when the goods arrive at the warehouse, they take the material into the warehouse and then in NetSuite they enter it saying that 10 quantity, I have received it into the system. That is being done by the warehouse manager. You can define various different roles. Some people say that it is a warehouse keeper. Some people say that a location manager can be given to that particular role. It is not that there is a standard procedure and there is a standard name for that one particular person who does this. Let's go back to the purchase order. When I said purchase order, it creates a general ledger impact. I have selected one expense account. This expense account will be a debit of the 1500. My inventory is also a debit. If you add up these two, it will add up to 4527. This will hit the credit part of the purchase orders GL. This is a non-posting transaction. Whenever you create a purchase order, it will not impact your G as such. But then it will show you that the amount is getting debited from these two accounts. The amount is getting increased in these accounts and then is getting credited from the other accounts. Remember that the GL impacts have to balance out. Whatever is a debit has to be a credit as well. It goes from one account and it sits in the other account. That is simple. That is the only thing which happens as part of the GL impacts on the purchase orders. Let us close this and then we will go to the item receipt. On the item receipt, do we have landed cost selected on this item? Looks like it is just a second. I told you something about a landed cost. After the product lands within the city, we bring a truck. Let us do one thing. I will enable the landed cost for this item now. I have told you what dropship item is in the last session. If you listen to that recording, you will understand. This is what your inventory item I have done. On the inventory item, I have enabled landed cost for it. Landed cost is nothing but track. Landed cost has to be enabled. On the purchasing tab of the item, I have enabled the track landed cost. When I go back to my item receipt, I have an option to put in my landed cost. I can click on this and I say that when I am bringing this item, cost category is not available. I think we have already created. Why is it not available? There is only default cost category. It is not created. No problem. Let's do it. You can create a separate expense account for the cost category as well. But you can select it from the one that you have. Let's refresh this. No, let's let them decide. So, once I've refreshed, if you go to the landed cost now, I will have the cost category that I can select. And I say that while bringing this material into my warehouse, I have spent around $120 on my transport. So you can specify that on the landed cost. So what are we doing now? We are trying to do an item receipt. What we are saying is, I have ordered 10 quantity of so and so item and that is at my warehouse now. However, I received only 8 quantity. As of now, I do not receive the complete quantity. So there's only 8 quantity that I have received today. And for this 8 quantity, the landed cost is, let us say, not $120. That is there on the purchase order. I am receiving only a quantity. So let us see what happens. So if you see, the on hand has been increased now. Earlier the on hand was 5 only. If you remember, if you go back and scroll down on the purchase inventory tab, if you scroll down, there is location. Now, which location are we buying this for? See, a location which was 5 earlier. Correct. The quantity was only 5. Now on order. There is a 10 quantity on order which we have ordered actually. This is the same purchase order which is showing now. So if I refresh this and I go to my location, scroll down, you see this. This has increased by 13 and the remaining quantity is 2. Because we have not received the complete 8 quantity. We have received only, complete 10 quantity we did not receive. We received only 8 and that is the reason the order on quantity is showing 2. So let us go back to the item receipt. And first of all, we will go back to the purchase order and we will see what is the status on our purchase order. You see this. It clearly says that we have received only partially. We have not received it completely. So there is a preference for this as well. I have discussed it already, but as I told you, I will switch back and forth between the preferences to explain you things. So if you go to order management, scroll down bill in advance of receipt, allow overage on item receipts. This is one thing that we have already done. 1 second. So this is the allow overage on item receipts. This is one preference that you have. When you are saying that if you select this, if the quantity is 10, you will be able to receive 12 also. That is allowing the overage on item receipt. That is one thing. Where is the just fulfilling? 1 second, guys. Let us save this first. We will go back to the account and preferences items transactions. I think you scroll down. No, there is a preference. I'm checking for that. Give me a second. Sales order, transfer order. So you can click on the receive again and then receive the second lot as well. Or you can do a bill of this particular. You know the transaction that we are doing now, which is for 8 quantities. Let's go back to the item receipt, and there is a GLL impact on the item receipt as well. So, if you see earlier, we had a credit on the purchase orders tab. Now from the inventory. The inventory is up now by this so and so amount, which is the LAT, is the landed cost that we have spoke about. So the landed cost is a separate transaction which happens. Now this is the office expense that I have selected on my landed cost category. If you remember, I have created a category wherein I said office expenses, my GL. So the office expense will be a credit and then inventory will be a debit, which means my inventory is going up. And then my expenses. My accrued expenses account is a credit, which means it is going out of my accrued expenses. I have to pay this amount to the vendor. It is going out of my accrued expenses and then my inventory is getting added. So this is a total amount of the inventory that is getting added as part of my item receipt. That is what is your GL impact, which is indicating that. So let us go back to the purchase order. And then if you go to the related records, you will see the item receipt now. I have 106 is my item receipt which I have done, which is the same. I have 106 that I have over here. And then is linked with the purchase order. 128 already created from so, and so purchase order is showing up on the item receipt page for me. Let us go back to the purchase order screen again. And then what I do is, see, I'm doing it all at once. But then just remember that these things happen over a number of days. I create a purchase order today. I wait for an approval. Probably tomorrow, it is approved. And then 10 days later, I have received the material from my client, from my vendor rather. And then on the 10th day, they do an item receipt of that 8 quantity that we have done. So 2 days later, I have received another 2 quantity also from the vendor. So in that case, you go back to the purchase order or you go back to that receive purchase order screen again. You know receive orders and you can do it from there also. But now let me click on this receive. So if you scroll down, there's 2 quantity. For this 2 quantity, the landed cost is, let us say, $20. The amount that I'm spending it, spending to bring it from the airport to my warehouse is $20. I can say, and then do a save. So when you do that, we have received the complete quantity now. Let's go back to the inventory item and then we will refresh this. Once you refresh, you will notice that your inventory is 15 now and not 13 anymore because we have received the entire 10 quantity into our warehouse. In the Canada 1 warehouse, I have received all 10 quantity and that is the reason it added up as 15. And then on order is 0. There's no order now. Available quantity is 15. Available quantity is what? The quantity that I can use on a sale order. So I can sell 15 of these monitors now in this location. I have 15 quantity and then in US 1 location I have 180 quantity that I can use on my sale order. And then that particular location has got a purchase order which is pending for 1 quantity. So that hasn't been received. And on this location, there is a purchase order pending for Canada to purchase order pending for another 1 quantity. So that is what it is. Now let's go back to the purchase order once again. And then you see the partial receipt is gone now. Partially received, that status was there earlier. It is no longer partially received now. So it is pending bill now. So you can click on bill from here either, or you can click on bill on this item, receipt also. Let's go back to the purchase order. And then if you go to the related records now, you will see one is 106. The other one is 107. This is for 8 quantity and this is for 2 quantity. So you can click on bill from here or you can go to transactions, payables and enter bills. As I told you, there are 2 ways of doing this. So you can select what your vendor is. Bread supplier. Select what the location is. And if you scroll down, so this is a manual way of creating a bill. You can create a bill from here by selecting your vendors and all these options that you have there. Or you can go back to the list of bills that you have there. A bill is not yet created, so that is the reason you will not find it here, the one that we are supposed to create. Go back to the purchase order. Click on bill. So we are billing this customer and then we can make a payment as well. So let us approve this for now. If you scroll down for 1500, there is an expense and for this item there is 3000, whatever it is. And then it goes out of this account's payable trade. So save this. See, the vendor credit limit has exceeded. That is the warning which comes up, but we are not stopping. Under the preference which I said there is, you know you will get the warning, but from that it will be fine. I have saved this. So there is a real impact for this as well. When I open this, you see it is going out of my AP trade account and then it is getting debited to the. These are the different accounts. Travel expense is what I have specified, $1,500, and then accrued expenses. So earlier accrued expenses, it was a credit and now it will be a debit. So from accrued expenses, it is moving to the AP trade. Let's go back to the bill again. You have to give this. I mean, you are creating a bill against a vendor and then you have to make a payment against that bill. You are purchasing something from them and you are making a payment. So this bill, if you see, there is a bill which got created in under the related records. So when you open that bill, you will have an option to make a payment. You see this make payment, or you can go to transactions by payables and then payables also. There is payables. You can do that from there also. So you click on make payment. And then from your bank account, you will pay to the vendor. Simple. From this bank account, this is your bank account. See any checking, and then the vendor is blood supplier. You can mark this from your bank account. You are making a payment to the vendor. Say that's it. This is the complete budget order cycle which happens on that. So one is purchase order, purchase contract that I have shown you. And then the item visit happens along with that. A bill is created and then a payment is made from your bank account. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.